Art Basel, whether you're a fan of it or not, finished up a few weeks ago with sales ranging from 4 figures to 8 figures. It's kind of crazy to think about some of these pieces being more expensive than a house, but are they worth it? Let's find out. Welcome to Lab Coat of Paint, where we talk about art, science, and technology. My name is Nick, and today we'll be breaking down some of the top and notable sales from Art Basel 2024. Let's see if these masterpieces are worth their multi-million-dollar price tag. For those unfamiliar, Art Basel in Switzerland is a 4-day art fair where galleries from across the world come together to showcase and sell their artists' works to anyone from curators, collectors, to obviously the ultra-rich. This year, the 54th Art Basel featured 285 prestigious galleries. As we go through the pictures, I'll try my best to provide some context as well as my humble opinions. And what are my qualifications to be judging art? None. I'm just some bloke on the internet who just wants to provide some fun feedback. And I like to think I know a good deal when I see one. So with that, let's get into it. The top sale this year was Joan Mitchell's Sunflowers, 1990. It's a 2-part canvas, oil on canvas, that was sold for $20 million by David Zwirner. And it's a very gestural piece. It's an abstract expressionist piece, probably featuring sunflowers, or it's supposed to evoke the sense of sunflowers. And for me, it's not giving that feeling. Maybe I need to, see it in person to have that, visceral emotion. But I actually see more scientific topics like viruses, virus particles, like this part right here. It's giving virus particles. That's just me. I'm biased as a scientist. But I love that this piece was painted vertically. You can tell from the paint droplets that are, falling due to gravity, and very full of energy, which I love. Is it worth $20 million though? I'm gonna say no. But I do love the color combination, I love it. Would I pay $20 million? Probably not. Next, here we have Georgia O'Keeffe's Sun with Moon. It's also oil canvas in 2 parts. It sold for $13.5 million by Hauser and Wirth. And I have to say that this painting is incredible. Like the serene white with the accent of the pink sky, and then with like a little peeking of the moon is just kind of breathtaking, like looking at this, you're enveloped with calm energy. And I have to say 13.5 is, reasonable. And it's also Georgia O'Keeffe, a brand name. Yeah, worth it. Next, we have Philip Guston's Orders. It's also an oil on canvas, and it sold for $10 million by Hauser and Wirth. Okay, lots of Hauser and Wirth sales. They're doing pretty good. It's very stark. There's a juxtaposition between the red and the blue, and you can definitely see the brush marks. Zooming in, I think the elements that make up these paintings are arranged in such a way that is kind of, tense. They're very orderly, as the title implies, but in a sense that is confining. I personally am drawn towards it, but for $10 million, not so much. So Philip Guston explores a lot of themes around racism, anti-Semitism, fascism, and the American identity. And you can definitely feel some of those themes being explored here. And that's why I think it's so powerful. There's like an incomplete layering of the colors as well that kind of reminds you of bloodshed. There's some sort of stake in it. And it makes you contemplate, our place in the world, our politics. $10 million, do I have it? No, but if I did. Next, we have Mark Bradford's Pink Pearl, which sold for $3.5 million at Hauser and Wirth. Again, Hauser and Wirth, just coming in. I'm not completely sure what medium was used. It just said mixed media, but it's one of those abstract paintings that just kind of like pull you in and you just want to get closer. It does remind me of those paint pours, which kind of cheapens the, concept of it. But I think I have to surmise that this painting is also very textural, as opposed to paint pours, which is like a flat and shiny, glossy look. The pink pearls definitely stand out, and I like how the distribution is juxtaposed with this yellow and chasm of blue. It's really aesthetically pleasing, and also I'm not sure what it means though. I can't really draw any, meaning. I do wonder what the material is. So I guess TBD, but 3.5 million, I'm gonna say not worth it, just because I need more information. The sale is not going through for me. Next, we have George Condo's Rosemary's Baby, painting in 2024, which sold for 1.95 million by Spruce Maggers. So here we have a almost surrealist painting of some sort of figure with eyes and ears with that occupy geometric shapes. We can't really make out a mouth. It's not completely obvious. Maybe this person has a beard, and there's paint splatter that finishes up the painting. Overall, I think this painting is super ominous. I can't tell if it's a portrait or it's very intriguing. It kind of reminds you of Cubism, where certain dimensions are flattened and brought forward. There's also a set of white beads that go along. Is that the mouth, or is that the mouth? In a way, you're forced to come up with this caricature in your head, or constructing the face in your mind based on these shapes. That exploration is pretty interesting as well. I maybe would shell out 1.95 million if I was convinced further. But for now, I'm still clutching my purse. Yeah. Here we have Alexander Calder, Snowflake Tree, which he made in 1960. It sold for $12 million at Hauser and Wirth. And let's just say Alexander Calder's pieces are like the pinnacle of wind chimes. They don't actually make any noise. This piece, however, kind of reminds me of, waves or mountains, and then the red represents the sun, perhaps, or even stars. This is a collection of planets, planetary systems, and when it spins, it's like rotation of these planetary bodies. I would love to see this piece move though in person, to see where these pieces fit in relationship to movement. But right now I think it's positioned in such a way that it makes it aesthetic for the photo and not actually representative of what it would look like in person. Again, TBD. I think I would be willing to pay for this piece $12 million if I had it, if I saw this in person. But for right now, a little skeptical. Next, we have Tesseract number 3 by Howardena Pindell, which sold for $650K at White Cube. Immediately off of that, I love it. I love paintings that play with the eye, and it's very, energetic. And looking closer, you can tell that these are individual dots laid onto a background color. So these are pink dots on a blue background. And the directionality of these dots create lines that seem to kind of explode from the bottom. If I had this in my home, I would look at it constantly and be, energized. There's a playfulness to it, but also it represents perhaps inception of a beginning, like the Big Bang, and the title also elicits like other dimensions, which we don't have privy to, which is kind of like a fun conversation starter. So, worth it. Next, we have Daniel Richter's The Sheer Fitting, painted in 2024 and sold for $451K at Thaddeus Roehr. It depicts some figuration that is very abstract. These lines kind of meld into one another. It's very hot. The red is kind of like burning into my retina, and the figures are kind of cool, but they're being enraptured by this, blazing heat. It's kind of like, what's that one song by Rina Sawayama? This hell is better with you. Yeah, that's what it reminds me of. Honestly, $451K, is that a good deal? Maybe I would negotiate down. $400K. Deal. So the infamous Anish Kapoor also showed his Black by Les Hommes Gallery, and these sold for $1.21 million. Compared to his other pieces, his other like iconic pieces, I think these are just so redundant and I don't know, they're cheap. Like, come on. You could have gone so much bigger and like more outside the box. I do like this blob though. It's like my eyes can literally not detect what material it's made from. Is it sprayed on? Is the entire material made of that thing? I don't know. But the simple shapes, it's just like, okay, yeah, that was like iteration number 1. We need iteration like number 20, okay? And if we were to buy this at iteration number 1, I would not pay 1.21 million for this. Like, I would look at it and be like, oh cool, would I want this in my house? Would I want to stare at a black hole? Not really. Yeah, there's just not much to say about it, and that's not a good thing. Not worth it. Here we have Vivian Springford's Untitled, I think, which sold for $150. It was a price range from $150 to $170 by Almond Rex. And Springford is an abstract expressionist which uses acrylic paint that's been mixed in water, diluted in water, and applied to the canvas. We're not sure how exactly, but it forms these watercolor-like bands when dried. With these pieces, it's less about what it's depicting and what is it capturing, what emotion is it capturing in it. And I see that it's very bright and joyful. It's very peaceful. And when pieces kind of like make me stop talking, that's a good sign. So, and I think 150K, even though I don't have it, again, broke student, totally pay for it. Totally. Yeah. On to the next one. We have Man Ray at Dance by Tom Wesselmann, which sold for a range of $2.5 million to $3 million by Almond Rex. This is so fun. It's kind of a pop art play on Matisse's dance, as well as I think his Olympia painting as well. Because like there's, a female figure reclining, and it's very reminiscent of it, also the necklace too. This is like the modern take on that classic. I love the hair. It's just like circle. And the highlight of the body is almost like a skeleton, but also it could be a highlight, like a flash. It's a celebration of the female body. I personally would not pay, upwards of 1 million. That's my cap. Take it or leave it. Next, we have Willam Kentridge's Washer, which sold for $600K at Goodman Gallery. I kind of love this because it's It's just a washroom, but in your head, you're like, it's a girl. It's a girl leaning. She looks kind of sad. She's bowing her head. And these sorts of like fun, kitschy, ready-made items, which form kind of like a figure that you have to interpret is, one of my favorite genres of art. Worth it. Nothing else to say. Okay, next we have Jeff Wall's The Storyteller, which is a transparency in a light box, depicting a scene of 10 people hanging out. And I'm wondering what the story is here. It could be a depiction of what, I don't know where this was taken, but it seems like there's some sort of isolation between the groups. These are like people hanging out, but like there's a numerical order to it. There's one person here, 2 people there, 3 people here. And it's under a bridge, not normally where you would hang out, like this is not a park. And it seems like maybe they're waiting for something, trying to enjoy life while, they still can, trying to enjoy life in a moment that seems precarious. There's some sort of turmoil that could be happening. I don't know the full story, but I am interested.
Editing Nick here. After thinking about it and trying to come up with the right words, it evokes the experience of immigrants in America and how they seek refuge in a new world just to face rejection from the prevailing political and cultural systems that dominate the discourse. But we're just all people trying to get by peacefully, and we just want to chill out in nature, in like communal spaces undisturbed. And this also touches on the idea of third spaces and how in our modern society we have a lack of them. Like this underpass is a stark contrast to the nature that surrounds it and our human desire to get back to our evolutionary roots. So, urban planners, if you're watching this, give the people what they want. Anyways, that's my extra 2 cents. It's probably my favorite piece so far. Yeah.
For $2.8 million, I think this piece is very powerful. At first glance, you think like $2.8 million for transparency in a white box, but it's about the idea being conveyed. Yes, that's all I have to say. Okay, next we have Tony Cragg's Untitled, which sold for $355K by Thaddeus Ropak. Give me 20 of these. Give me 20 of these. Superb, fabulous. Love that it has a reflective surface. I'm taking my selfies in it. It's also hopefully a base, because then it's useful, has a function, other than just being pretty. It's like narcissism, like you just want to keep on looking at it because it's also a reflection, because you're going to look at yourself, but also the piece. So yeah, $350K, deal. Next we have Peter Roy's Untitled, which sold for only $2,100 at Mendy Chokri. So it's supposed to be a punch card. Originally used to store information, the punch card's purpose here is merely figurative. Using mainly industrial-produced items, Roehr arranges serial formations of individual objects to create his so-called montages. He believes that each thing has properties that can be grasped, but which we rarely perceive. If we perceive a thing several times next to each other or among each other in space, and one after the other in time, without intermediate space or time, because then no non-form can arise, that is not caused by the form of material we notice in these properties. I'm gonna have to read that again. I think I know what he's trying to get at, that repetition doesn't necessarily repeat the exact same thing over and over again. And when we take a moment to, really examine it, we can actually notice differences, or the difference stands out to us when we look for it, despite it being purposely repeated. That was my take on it. I think this piece is supposed to illuminate itself over time, so this is an investment at $2,100, so worth it. Oh, and also like a punch card is meant to show time passing, so I'm gonna think about this one. Yeah, but worth it. All right, moving on. Finally, we have Masaomi Yasunaga stone vessel, sold for $9,000 at Liaison Gallery. It looks like a relic, but it was made in 2023. Like, this seems like it was unearthed. Actually, looking at her other vases, I would pay $9,000 for the other vases, not this one. So I'm intrigued why, this one sold. I would trade it in, I would be like, just kidding, give me the other one for $9,000. Cool. I hope you enjoyed this review of our Basel's top sales this year. I think overall, the pieces were very tame, but aesthetic. They had some things to say, but not too ambitious. And I think in times of turmoil, that happens, but I think it shouldn't. Like, during times of, chaos, these arts are supposed to be loud and speak not just joyful things, but enter into the conversation to say something relevant. And I was missing that here. Jeff Wall's piece was very, it got there, but I think some of the other pieces were kind of lagging. Overall, this was just a fun exercise on, market value and what art is worth. So if you enjoyed this, please like and leave a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, as well as some, recommendations on great arts that I can read up on and then have more conversations about it. But anyways, hope you have a great day. See you in the next one. Ciao.